Hey guys, it's GirlGotGame and welcome back to Taisho Alice, where we have one more boy in our looking glass that we have to do his route. The Man with the Red Riding Hood, and then we'll be done episode 1. So I'm very excited for this. I love Cinderella. I don't know how anyone is going to beat him for me, but I am excited because, number one, we never actually saw Red Riding Hood boy. We saw all the other dateable boys in Cinderella's route. This guy pulled an adage on me and was just nowhere to be found. Not even a mention of him. So I'm excited to finally meet him, first of all. Second of all, I also am really curious how the world is going to change, or if the world is going to change. Because we didn't get a lot of hints in our first route. So I'm really curious to see how we're going to start this time. Is our girl the same? Is she different? Personality-wise? Living-wise? I don't know. So many questions. Let's begin, and then we'll find out. I choose this one. Together, you and Alice reach out to the mirror. Then you walk through the glass and jump down into the looking glass world. Here we go. Maybe Alice will be nice in this world. Do I dare dream? Okay, we don't have to see the intro again.
One day, my mother said to me,
"Now listen here. You're not like all the other kids. You're a precious angel. That's why you mustn't play outside. The world is filled with wicked wolves, and you can never trust them. So if one of them talks to you, be sure to ignore them. You have to watch the house while I'm gone, understand? And if anyone knocks on the door, don't let them in no matter what."
"Yes, Mother."
"I'm sorry, Mother. I'm sorry I didn't listen."
Ooh. Oh.
I arrived at a house in the middle of the dark woods near the lake.
"Is anyone there?"
But no matter how hard I knocked, no one answered. This was definitely the right house. There weren't any others in sight. Hesitantly, I twisted the doorknob. Strangely enough, it was unlocked. The lights were all off, but the moonlight streaming in through the window faintly illuminated the interior. And the instant I saw it, I realized the weight of my sins. If only I hadn't disobeyed my mother and gone astray, I never would have lost everyone I ever cared about.
Well, that's an ominous beginning to this. Once upon a time in the looking glass world there lived a man known as Red Riding Hood. He carried out each mission with a straight face, no matter how difficult they became, and could always be seen wearing his signature riding hood. Was that his origin story, I wonder? One day, it was decided that he would serve as a bodyguard for a young, wealthy woman. Are we still young and wealthy? She claimed that someone had been harassing her, and it had escalated to the point that she received a threatening letter in the mail. I mean, this looks like our house. Testimony from the rich girl. That day, I sat face to face with a steely-eyed police officer. He had paid a visit to my house, inquiring after the recent harassment I had reported. There he is! Mr. Red Riding Hood. Let me look at your outfit. Hold on, I gotta remember my buttons for this again. There we go. Okay. Interesting. Now we gotta pick a voice for you, too.
So, could you tell me in detail about the nature of the harassment you've undergone?
Sure thing. I set my cup of tea back on the table, then balled my hands into fists and placed them in my lap. At first, I thought it was all in my head. Starting about a month ago, I would get these weird silent calls 2 or 3 times a day, but whenever I would answer the phone, the person would hang up. After that, sometimes I'd be walking down the street and sense someone following me, or at home I'd feel like someone was watching me.
And you're sure you're not just imagining it?
What, you think I'm just paranoid? I furrowed my brows.
As a species, humans have active imaginations. During times of emotional stress, your senses become heightened, and you start to notice tiny details you wouldn't otherwise.
So if someone tells me a ghost story, my brain would then be more inclined to interpret a harmless prank as paranormal activity?
Precisely.
He nodded calmly, then glanced around the room.
I'm told you live in this massive mansion all by yourself.
You've done your homework, I see. Yes, my parents' jobs have them traveling all over the country, so they're hardly ever home. I decided to explain the situation in detail. He must have done a background check on me ahead of time. The police are always so efficient at their jobs.
So, you spend a great deal of your daily life alone, then?
Okay, so we're still in our current situation. Interesting. I mean, you're not wrong, but are you trying to suggest I'm a pathological liar or something?
The possibility is there.
Evidently, he was probing me for any strange behaviors. I guess that's just how cops operate. Trust but verify and all that. I handed him the letter I had received. So you think I created this blackmail for attention, is that it?
Is this the blackmail letter you mentioned?
Indeed it is. I can't read. Warning! You know what you did. Now confess or suffer terrible misfortune. I repeat, confess your sin, or we'll steal your heart. Next time I won't ask nicely. Signed, The Wolf.
It appears the culprit clipped each individual letter from a newspaper. I'll pass this along to the forensics team just in case, but I doubt we'll get any leads.
Why is that? I tilted my head.
Because if they're smart enough not to write the message in their handwriting, then they're probably smart enough not to leave fingerprints either.
Oh, I see.
With this, it's increasingly less likely that you staged it.
Yay! Glad to hear it. I clapped my hands, glad to be freed of suspicion.
With phrasing like, confess your sin, this letter is written so vaguely, only you and they could understand it. Logically speaking, if this was a cry for attention, you would have made it more clear that you were in danger.
Good point. I agree.
So, do you have any idea who this wolf person might be?
I'm afraid I don't. I promptly shook my head. I couldn't think of anything I might have done to piss anyone off, much less whoever the wolf was supposed to be.
Any idea what your sin was?
I wish. I shrugged my shoulders.
Alright then, next question. Can you think of any incident in which you might have angered someone?
No. I shook my head again.
Well, this letter seems to imply that the culprit has a personal grudge against you.
I nearly shook my head a third time, but managed to stop myself. That's the part I'm not supposed to deny. Yeah, I murmured vaguely and took a sip of my tea.
It isn't addressed to you directly, so it's possible it was meant for someone else. Does anyone in your family have any enemies?
When I asked them, they all said they couldn't think of anyone.
I see. Incidentally, are you on good terms with them?
I mean, I like to think so, at least.
You don't feel any resentment toward your parents for leaving you alone in this giant house?
Not really. Granted, I knew my family situation was uncommon, but as far as I was concerned, I was well provided for. Although they lived in another city and were typically hands-off, I received a hefty allowance from them and was generally allowed to live my life freely.
I see. What about your older brother?
My brother?
Yes. I'm told he lives nearby.
The policeman fixed me with a probing look. You see, I have a much older brother. We're the typical nuclear family, perfectly ordinary in every way. Oh yeah? Wow, you really have done your homework on me. That's a cop for you, I guess. Anyway, yes, my brother does indeed live nearby. He's so busy with work that he opted to rent an apartment closer to his job rather than deal with the commute all the way from our parents' house.
Would it be possible to invite him over?
For what purpose?
It's all part of the investigation.
I mulled it over. Perhaps he was having trouble taking me seriously, considering I was only 19. I understand where you're coming from, but I just don't think he'll have time. He's a really busy guy.
He can't be bothered to make time for his younger sister during a life-or-death crisis.
Nope. He'll just say I'm hallucinating. He's not really the type to rush over and rescue me, to be honest. Sounds like a great guy to have as a brother.
In that case, he must be a heartless monster.
I agree. Oh, he absolutely is. I nodded vigorously. Dang.
Forgive me.
The policeman took a sip of his tea. Evidently, he felt his statement was a touch improper for someone of his station. I'm sad. I was hoping we'd get to meet this monster brother of ours.
At any rate, you certainly have an interesting family situation.
Yeah, I get that a lot. For the record, I do have his phone number, so we could try to call him if you like, but I don't think he'll answer. The policeman pulled out his notepad.
Could I make note of it for future reference?
Oh, sure. I recited my brother's phone number, and the policeman promptly jotted it down.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
He pocketed his notepad, then turned back to me.
So, about this harassment.
Right. What do you think I should do?
You have nothing to worry about. I shall guarantee your safety personally.
Ooh, how manly. I gave him the finger guns. Pew pew pew. A hot guy risking his life to protect his damsel in distress. This is starting to feel like an action movie. I was perhaps not quite as nervous as I should have been given the situation.
For as long as I'm here, I won't let the culprit lay a finger on you. Starting today, you will be under constant surveillance.
That was not what I was expecting. What? As in 24/7? I stared blankly. 24/7 surveillance with no breaks? Is he going to see me doing you know what? And you want to start today? Wait, so does that mean you'll stay here for as long as it takes until the culprit is apprehended?
Precisely.
In contrast to my concern, he was entirely unruffled. But I'm a woman, and you're a man.
Not to worry. I shall give you as much privacy as the mission will allow.
Right. It's not my privacy I'm worried about, per se. This is all too sudden. Is this real life? Is it fantasy? Look, don't you think maybe this is a little drastic?
Drastic? Are you taking this seriously? Someone has sent you a threatening message. We must take every precaution.
Right. I nodded reluctantly. Somehow I don't think he's going to take no for an answer.
I've received orders to put you under strict surveillance in order to ensure your utmost safety. I cannot overstate this enough. This is an essential part of your protection.
He looked directly into my eyes. Will you go along with his suggestion? Alright, our first choice. I mean, if I say no, isn't he just going to leave? And I'm like, and the wizard will be like, well, you hecked up. He's supposed to be bodyguarding you. How can he bodyguard you if you don't let him bodyguard you? So I gotta let him bodyguard me. Very well, then. I'm in your care, officer. I got to my feet and held my hand out for a handshake. As a helpless maiden threatened by some unknown menace known only as the Wolf, I could use all the help I could get. He followed suit, rising to his feet.
Oh, yes, allow me to introduce myself. I am Red Riding Hood from the Bureau of Investigation.
He inclined his head politely. Red, is it? Nice to meet you. I wiggled my hand, subtly prompting him to shake it, but he simply disregarded it after a glance. Oh, come on. Oh, yeah, my name is...
I know who you are, Miss Arisu.
Well, now we're introduced, so... now what? If he was going to be observing me 24/7, then we needed to get him all settled in. Oh, that's right. Will you need to go home and pack a change of clothes?
Not to worry. I have brought the bare minimum along with me.
Oh. I guess you thought ahead. That was the moment I noticed the gingham basket on the floor next to him. Wow, that's cute. Not sure I was expecting that from Mr. Serious Business. Well, it plays into the whole Red Riding Hood thing. Oh, right. Seeing as you'll be staying here, would you like me to include you in my meals?
No, that's all right. I've brought along my own rations as well.
Wow, you really thought ahead. I glanced back at the basket. How can it possibly hold all of that? What about showers? Instead of arguing the point, I decided to move on.
I can go without for a while, or else I can just wash myself as necessary with tap water.
Why would you do that? Okay, look, I am more than willing to let you borrow the tub, so please go ahead and use it whenever you want. Seriously. Sorry, but I can't have you going without showers for who knows how long.
In that case, I shall periodically make use of your shower, if that's all right with you.
Evidently, he knew better than to fight me on this one, thank goodness. By all means, please do. Now then, as for your sleeping arrangements...
Not to worry. I'll be sleeping outside.
In winter?
I don't mind.
Well, I do! You'll die out there! So it's winter in this story as well. Interesting. Is it going to be a different season each episode, or is it winter always? This is even worse than the no showers thing. We have plenty of guest rooms here. You can just use one of those.
I am not a guest.
Same difference. Come on, no need to be shy, all right? I smiled at him.
I am not being shy.
But he denied it outright. At this point, I was starting to think maybe he wanted to stay as far away from me as possible. Look, did I do something wrong? Do you just hate the idea of being around me more than necessary? I figured I may as well ask him directly. And yet...
My personal feelings are irrelevant. My job is solely to ensure your safety.
Okay, but what part of that means you have to sleep outside? Is he really that worried about infringing on my privacy?
Miss Arisu, please, pay no attention to me and simply continue on with your daily life.
Right. I struggled to keep the sarcasm out of my voice. For the sake of my own self-esteem, I'm just going to assume he's trying to be a respectful house guest. Am I still allowed to go outside and stuff?
Of course. I don't intend to place any limitations on you. That said, I shall accompany you at all times.
Is that not a limitation in and of itself? What happened to not infringing on my privacy? So much for that, I guess.
What do you mean?
I don't think you can reasonably expect me to carry on with my daily life if you're going to be breathing down my neck the whole time.
Oh, really?
Red didn't seem particularly bothered by this. He took a sip of his tea. Would you like a refill?
No, that's all right.
He set his teacup back onto the saucer, sat up straight, and folded his hands in his lap. I got the distinct sense he was prepared to go without tea for the rest of his life if it meant sparing me the inconvenience. Alright, well, we got a tough nut to crack on this one. You know, you're a very guarded person. I bet you must get that a lot.
Lowering my guard would negatively impact my work performance.
I won't argue there, but still. As I trailed off, Red promptly changed the subject.
Any other questions?
Clothes or clothes? I honestly have no idea. I mean, he's a very forthright guy. But both of these are kind of the same thing, no? Like, I guess compliment his out. I mean, saying your clothes are unique could be taken as an insult depending on how it's worded, so I'll try complimenting it, I guess. What a lovely outfit. You wear it well.
Thank you.
His composure didn't waver, so I pressed on. Why do you wear that riding hood anyway?
Is it a crime?
No, of course not. Oh, I know. Is red your favorite color?
I fail to see how this relates to the topic at hand. It doesn't, does it? In that case, I decline to answer.
You're the one who asked me to ask you.
What was that?
Nothing! Nothing at all. Having lost the will to argue with him, I slumped my shoulders. He was so frigid, he was practically sub-zero. Feeling like an intruder in my own house, I got to my feet. And he followed suit. He gets up very jerkily.
Where are you going?
To my room. I sniffed sadly. I wanted a moment to myself. Alone.
I see. In that case, I shall accompany you.
What? I stared at him blankly.
We went over this. I'm putting you under constant 24-hour surveillance for your own protection.
Wait, so you're just going to follow me around the house all day?
Of course. Is there a problem?
Tascate! Ah, Kaguya, where are you? Help me. In the end, I decided to stay in the living room. If I couldn't have any alone time, then there was no point in going to my room in the first place. Now it was time for dinner. Are you sure you won't have dinner with me?
Quite sure. There's no need.
The table was laden with tonight's dishes. Fish, potatoes, rice, and a freshly mixed salad with a creamy homemade dressing. Naturally, it was all for me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was more than happy to cook for the both of us, but as you can see, he refused to allow it. Instead, he stood on the opposite side of the room, his hands folded behind his back like a mafia bodyguard. Surely we can come to some sort of compromise here. Look, if you won't let me cook for you, will you at least eat your food at the table with me?
Why would I do that?
Man, they really give you a lot of options to begin with, don't they? It's more efficient? Eating alone is... I mean, I think if I say it's more efficient, he's just gonna be like, what are you talking about? He can't really argue with the fact that it's depressing to eat alone. He can say, I don't care about being depressed, but he can't argue that it's more depressing. Because eating alone is depressing.
You're not alone. I'm right here.
Oh, right. In that case, because it's more efficient. Okay, well, I failed and Yuriko saved me from my own mistakes. I changed tack on the spot. Think about it. I'm going to be dragging you all over the place on my own schedule. Plus, I'm more of the spontaneous type, so I might change up my plans entirely on a whim. With that in mind, don't you think it'll save time in the long run if you plan your meal breaks around mine? Red seemed inclined to agree with this. Okay, I'll make a note. I'm making a note on that. I really thought he'd be like, what do you mean it's efficient? I can eat over here just as easily as over there. Shows how much I know about this guy.
You've got a point there. Very well, then. Going forward, I'll be sure to eat with you.
But just as I heaved a sigh of relief at my narrow victory, he pulled a cylindrical object out of his basket. Is that a tin can?
Yes.
That's not your dinner for tonight, is it?
Yes, it is. Canned food is optimal for portability, ease of use, and food safety.
The label on the can read mackerel. What a coincidence! I'm having fish tonight too!
Indeed.
Do you have anything else to go with that?
As in rice or something? I'm afraid not.
Are you sure that'll be enough to fill you up?
No need to worry.
You don't eat this for every meal of every day, do you?
Yes, I do.
Don't you ever get tired of it?
I have some canned meat here as well.
How many kinds of meat are we talking?
Just the two variations, meat and fish.
Are you well? Is it just me, or am I getting dog vibes from this boy? Like, he's following us around. He eats nothing but meat. What if he's not so much the wolf that's threatening us, but, you know, it wouldn't be crazy for the twist in the Little Red story to be that he's actually the wolf. Or a combination of the wolf and red. I don't know, I'm getting dog vibes from this guy. We'll see. After a long silence, I turned to him with pleading eyes. I'm only saying this because I care about you as a fellow human being. Please just eat my cooking. It's for your own good. Here, have a seat. I might not have much to offer you tonight, but going forward, I'll factor you into all my meal planning. I got to my feet and put my apron back on.
That won't be necessary.
Oh, for crying out loud, why are you so stubborn? Apparently, his curt response had struck a nerve.
I should ask you the same.
His icy tone put a damper on my spirits. Fortunately, it extinguished my anger as well. He's right. I'm the one who keeps trying to force him against his will. I'm sorry. I know I'm being obnoxious. I really don't mean to jump down your throat about this. Sorry.
I'm not bothered by it.
Oh, cool. So does that mean I can keep on being obnoxious? At my challenge, Red's eyes narrowed. In response, I smirked. It was possible he would start to hate my guts, but that was a risk I was prepared to take. You do it, girl. Look, Red, are you absolutely sure you won't eat my cooking?
I am absolutely sure.
But I want you to eat it.
I don't understand why you're so dead set on this.
Isn't it obvious? I want to get to know you better.
Are you not aware that persistence often drives people away?
Oh, I'm aware. I'm just choosing to do it anyway. It's a risk I'm willing to take. The question is, do you understand why I'm willing to risk it? What's the best word to describe the situation? Stalemate? Touch and go? You want to have a glaring contest with me? Well, knock yourself out. Fair warning, though, I'm not going down. Sure enough, after a period of prolonged eye contact, Red averted his gaze.
Very well. I can see that bickering with you any further would be unproductive.
I'm glad you understand. I tied my apron strings, all the while fist pumping internally. Okay, I'll whip you up something real quick. Just sit tight. I turned and headed for the kitchen as fast as my feet could carry me. Okay, so even though she's well-to-do, she just loves to cook and clean.
Your food will get cold.
I don't mind. Just then I stopped and turned back. Actually, I've got an idea. How about you eat the food on the table there? That way we'll both get to have a hot meal. See? Very efficient.
I suppose.
He sighed, got to his feet, and sat in my chair instead.
Well then, thank you for the meal.
Sure thing. Bon appetit! Red proceeded to eat my cooking in perfect silence.
What is it?
Until he noticed my gaze. You wear your riding hood when you eat, too?
Yes.
How do you feel about him wearing his hood at the dinner table? I mean, he's wearing it to probably hide that he's part wolf. He's got his wolf ears down right now. I mean, I don't know. It's like, it would be like asking the wizard, why do you wear your hat all the time? It's because he's a wizard. Red Riding Hood has to wear his hood. It's part of his name. It's part of his identity. I feel, well, okay, so we've, in this short interaction we've had with him, we seem to be very confrontational. He likes bluntness, straightforwardness, efficiency, and confrontation? Possibly? So, I guess we'll just hit this boy with a blunt stick and maybe he'll fall in love with us. Don't you think it's a little impolite?
I'm going to excuse myself.
All of a sudden, he set his fork on the table. What the? Where are you going? Don't you like the food?
Clearly I am too impolite to be worthy of eating your food.
Oh, come on. I was just joking around, silly.
You were joking.
Of course. To me, that hood may as well be a part of your body. Okay, good.
I see.
With that, he grabbed his fork once more. Alright, hood is a touchy subject. Phew. After a moment, he fell still.
Is cooking a skill of yours, Miss Arisu?
Huh? Oh, I don't know if I'm skilled at it, but I do like it. It kind of feels like I'm doing science, you know? Plus, once you're done, you get to eat a tasty meal. At his question, I began to babble excitedly.
Is that so?
Yeah! I finished my speech with a bright smile. And that's where the conversation ended. So, what brought that on?
Nothing in particular.
Oh. It was the first time he'd asked me a personal question, but that happiness was short-lived. I can't back down here, otherwise we won't get anywhere. I need to keep asking questions until something sticks. Do you like it?
Do you need me to tell you it's delicious?
Generally, it's helpful to motivate the cook with a few words of encouragement. Insults can be sexy too, if that's your game.
I see. So for you, the worst option would be radio silence.
Bingo!
Sorry to say, your motivation is irrelevant.
Ouch. Stone cold. It felt like a blizzard had descended on the dining room. Oh, that reminds me. I hastily changed tack. Do you have a favorite food?
Not really.
Are you sure? I feel like you hesitated for a second there.
Shouldn't you be focusing on your own dinner?
At this, I realized I'd forgotten to start cooking. You're right! Okay, I'm gonna cook something. You take your time, alright? Oh, and feel free to have seconds.
Right.
I am on my way, honey, hubby, from down, never put down. Mama, can I gosh, here is a kid with